I mean, this is beyond parody. Donald Trump pardoned a slew of violent criminals on his first day in office, and one of them has already been rearrested on very serious charges. And it's like, how many times did we try to tell them? I can't tell you how many times we warned Trump supporters or Republican officials that Trump pardoning the January 6th insurrectionists wasn't some patriotic act. It's not about moving the country forward. It's about, number one, emboldening the worst instincts in some of his most extreme supporters. But number two, if you're letting dangerous individuals out into the street, people that we know are prone to violence, are incredibly impressionable, are prone to radicalization, and if you let them back out into the streets with zero accountability, they're going to commit more acts of violence. And if you think that's an exaggeration, this article already reads, man pardoned for role in January 6th attack, rearrested on federal gun charges. How much of a screw up do you have to be to get rearrested 2 days after being pardoned? I mean, if this dude was really being treated so poorly in jail for the past 4 years, you'd think he'd be a little bit more careful after he got out, but no. He is a criminal at heart, and these are the people that Trump's pardoning. Again, Trump always talks about immigrants being so violent, running through the streets. When he pardoned, he pardoned an incredibly violent criminal. And wait till you hear what this dude did. Not only did he assault multiple police officers, but it gets worse than that. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to help support this pro-democracy channel. And before we even jump into this, did you guys hear about the thought process as to why Donald Trump pardoned all 1,500 insurrectionists? Honestly, it's not even the thought process. It's the lack thereof. There was not a single thought going through this guy's head. This reads, fuck it. The real logic behind Trump's sweeping January 6 pardons. Apparently, Trump got so tired of looking through case by case by case that he just said, F it, we'll just pardon them all. Donald Trump's decision to pardon some 1,500 January 6 offenders was a spontaneous move that overrode his administration's internal debate, meaning people around him were all actually debating, do we keep some of the violent people in there? Do we actually pardon them all? For example, J.D. Vance did an interview a week before they took office and said, I think it's very simple. Quote, if you protested peacefully on January 6th and you had Merrick Garland's Department of Justice treat you like a gang member, you should be pardoned, he told Shannon Bream. But then he said, if you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned. Is it that obvious, J.D. Vance? Because the dude that you work with, Donald Trump, doesn't seem to think it's that obvious. Trump said, fuck it. Release them all, one White House advisor told Axios. Here's what the original Axios article reads. F it. Release them all. Trump's move to go big on the pardons sheds light on his unpredictable decision-making process and shows his determination to fulfill a campaign promise to MAGA. Again, 8 days before the inauguration, Vice President J.D. Vance said that if you committed violence, you should not be pardoned. And Trump vacillated during an internal debate over targeting clemency versus a blanket decision, according to two insiders. And here's where it gets crazy. As Trump's team wrestled with this exact issue and planned a shock and awe batch of executive orders on day one, Trump just said, F it, release them all. An advisor familiar with the discussions said. And Trump's decision was a surprise to some Republicans in Congress who grimaced at the appearance of the new president condoning violence against police officers. Not just police officers, but people protecting our Capitol on the day they're certifying the election results. It's incredibly disgusting. And let's read the actual article about what this guy did. Listen to this. A Florida man, surprise, surprise, pardoned for his role in the January 6th Capitol riot was swiftly rearrested on Wednesday on federal gun charges. Daniel Ball, 38 of Florida, remains detained after federal authorities executed an arrest warrant for illegal firearm possession, a charge that predates but emerged from his involvement in the 2021 Capitol insurrection. Now, this part's important. Initially charged with some of the most serious offenses during the Capitol riot, Ball was accused of throwing an explosive device into the Lower West Terrace Tunnel, an action that reportedly disoriented police officers and caused hearing loss for some that lasted months. The magistrate judge, Robin Merriweather, had previously described Ball's alleged actions as among the most violent of the January 6th attack. Again, Trump pardoned the most violent people there on that day, people who came up with explosive devices and beat the shit out of police officers because they were trying to uphold their duty to the Constitution. The police officers, of course. Trump's presidential proclamation dismissed Ball's riot-related felony charges, pardoning him along with more than 1,000 other participants. However, the federal gun charge stemming from a search of Ball's home that uncovered a .22 caliber rifle and ammunition remained a separate legal matter. I mean, just listen to this. Ball had previous felony convictions, including domestic violence battery by strangulation and then resisting law enforcement, which legally prohibit him from owning and possessing firearms. Yet Donald Trump decided to say, F it. Let's pardon this wife beater who tried to stop these results of the election, who's obviously easily radicalized. And you know, I was talking to TikTok star Parker Get a Job about this exact same thing. I want to play you a few clips. Make sure you stick around until the end. It'll be worth it. Check this out. All right, Parker, I never again want to hear any Trump supporters claim that they back the blue. They're the party of law and order. They're the party that supports the cops. After Trump pardoned a bunch of people who, number one, assaulted cops. Number two, beat them with American flags. But also, this one dude held a taser to a cop's neck. He pinned him down and held a taser to his neck. Trump not only pardoned him, but then afterwards was talking about him like he was some sort of patriot. These people aren't patriots.
Yeah, and like that person also pled guilty, right, and admitted to it themselves. All right. There's also a video, right, showing this. So the fact that there's that much evidence, and apparently the Trump administration didn't look into that, is very concerning. I'm like, who's running the show, right? Apparently it's not Trump. Apparently he must have taken a back burner because he didn't know who he pardoned. So I think it's just like really ridiculous for them to say back the blue. I'm so pro police. And what he said is, I'm a friend of the police right after. No, you're not. You're not a friend of the police for any of the people that were literally assaulted, right? And their families have literally been, right, terrorized by January 6 rioters and by Trump supporters for just the police officers doing their fucking job. So they're not back the blue. It's ridiculous.
Trump is engaging in this form of revisionist history. I've never seen anything like it because this dude takes the office. He's in the Oval Office on day one signing executive orders. He pardons all of the January 6 insurrectionists. Did you hear why he pardoned all of them? Apparently he was too tired of going through the cases one by one by one. So he said, you know what, F it. Just pardon them all. Just blanket pardon with all of them. And that shows how lazy he is, number one. But also, back to the revisionist history, then he proceeds to say that he has to pardon them because Democrats don't appreciate democracy. He says Democrats stole the last election. It's like, I feel gaslit. He tries to gaslit us by carpet bombing the information landscape, but with bullshit. And then people are just so overwhelmed, they don't know what to believe. And I think that's part of the reason Democrats have such a hard time pushing back.
Yeah, so, and I think it's like really ridiculous for him to say like the last election was rigged in 2020, but then they just like Democrats forgot to do it this time. Like the intern that was stealing the election just forgot to, you know, bump the votes up a little bit. Why would they just like randomly stop in 2024, right? Especially when Trump, right, since 2020 has become a worse candidate, right? Like they apparently don't like him more. They put more stuff against him. Apparently there's, under his view, there's more lawfare yielded against him now. So if they want him out of office more now than they did then, why wouldn't they have stolen it now? That just makes no sense.
I agree. Well, thank you, Parker. Check out Parker's channel in the description below. Great content, and love you guys. Peace out.